Hello, I am Dr. Madhu Sharma from Concepts in Microbiology. We'll be talking about gram stain today. Now, gram stain was first discovered by Dr. Christian Gram. He was a histologist and it was discovered in 1884. It is one of the commonly used stain in clinical microbiology laboratory and it should be used for diagnostic identification of various organisms. It is a type of differential stain because it differentiates between gram positive and gram negative bacteria. Principle of gram staining. It requires the use of few chemical reagents which are applied in sequential manner and for certain period of time to a heat fixed smear. For this, you use primary stain. These are basic para-rosanyl dyes which include either methyl violet, crystal violet or gentian violet. Then you use mordant which is grams iodine. Third, you use decolorizing agent. It can be either alcohol or acetone. And fourth is use of counter stain which can be either safranin, dilute carbol or neutral red. Now the principle of gram staining. Some bacteria when treated with primary dye and then with iodine to fix the stain so as when the decolorizing agent is added it is not able to remove the stain. So these organisms they are called as gram positive organisms because they retain the primary dye color and they appear violet in color. Whereas in some the primary color is removed by the decolorizing agent. These organisms they are called as gram negative and to make them visible a counter stain has to be applied. Primary stain and the mordant. The primary stain, it can be either methyl violet, crystal violet or gentian violet. The purpose of primary stain is to stain all the cells and with this the cells they appear violet in color. Second is mordant. The mordant increases the cell's affinity for a stain. Grams iodine does this by binding to the primary dye and by forming an insoluble complex. This complex of primary dye with iodine helps to intensify the color of the stain. Second, what we use is a decolorizing agent. We use either 95% of alcohol or you can use acetone. This acts as a protein dehydrating agent and as a lipid solvent. In the gram-negative organism, there is a outer lipid layer and it gets dissolved and increases the porosity of the cell wall when it is exposed to this alcohol or acetone. Also, the peptidoglycan layer in the gram-negative organism is thin, so it is unable to retain the primary dye and the iodine complex and it is easily removed. So this makes the cell colorless and that's why they take up the counter stain and they are called as gram-negative organisms. Whereas in gram-positive organisms, because they have a thick peptidoglycan layer, the complex is retained and it is not easily removed by the decolorizer. Then we use the counter stain. This is to stain the clear cells which have not taken up the primary stain or which are decolorized by the decolorizer. So the counter stain such as safranin or dilute carbol or neutral red is used. This helps to stain the cells which are decolorized and gives them the red color. So what does the gram staining does? It differentiates between gram positive and gram negative organisms. So the gram positive appear violet in color and the gram negative they appear red in color. So this is in the picture you can see the gram positive organisms they appear violet in color, they can be gram-positive cocci, they can appear in clusters, in pairs, in chains, or they can be gram-positive bacilli, which appear violet in color. Then secondly is the gram-negative organisms. They appear pink in color and they can be either the bacilli or the cocci. Now, what are the theories of gram staining? Exact mechanism of gram staining is not understood, so there are various theories which have been implicated. So the number one is the cell wall theory. It is thought that the gram-positive bacteria, as they have a thick peptidoglycan layer, and in the gram-negative, the peptidoglycan layer is very thin and it is surrounded by the lipid layer. So the decolorizer easily removes the lipid layer, and because of the thin peptidoglycan layer in the gram-negative, it decolorizes and removes the primary dye from the organism, and that's why they retain only the counter stain. Whereas in gram-positive, because of the thick peptidoglycan layer, the primary dye and the iodine complex is retained and it is not easily decolorized. Secondly, it is implicated that the permeability of the cell wall and the membranes are responsible for the gram staining. The gram positive, they have more acidic protoplasm, which makes it bind strongly to the basic dye. So the primary dyes are the basic dye. They are retained better because they have a acidic protoplasm. So acid and basic, they attract. Second, what we use is a decolorizing agent. We use either 95% of alcohol or you can use acetone. This acts as a protein dehydrating agent and as a lipid solvent. In the gram-negative organism, there is a outer lipid layer and it gets dissolved and increases the porosity of the cell wall when it is exposed to this alcohol or acetone. Also, the peptidoglycan layer in the gram-negative organism is thin, so it is unable to retain the primary dye and the iodine complex, and it is easily removed. So this makes the cell colorless, and that's why they take up the counter stain and they are called as gram-negative organisms. Whereas in gram-positive organisms, because they have a thick peptidoglycan layer, the complex is retained and it is not easily removed by the decolorizer. Then there are various modifications of gram staining which have been used since it has been discovered. The original gram stain method which was used was the aniline or the gentian violet, Lugol's iodine, absolute alcohol, and the counter stain used was Bismarck brown. Okay, so this was the original. Later on, modifications were created because of the disadvantages of the decolorizing agent which is used. So sometimes it get decolorized easily and there is variability. So that's why a lot of modification have come up. For example, there is Kopleff-Biermann modification. There is again difference in the decolorizer which is used as well as in the counter stains which are used. And this Kopleff's and Biermann modification is used for general purpose as well as for it can be used with modification for tissues. Jensen's modification is used mainly for the Neisseria species, that is for meningococci and for gonococci. Then there is Riget's modification which is used for tissues, and then there is Preston and Morrell which is used for general purpose. And this has been modified so that the iodine and the acetone combination is used for decolorization and the decolorization effect is minimized. So the material required for doing a gram staining is a culture plate or a culture broth of an organism from which the smear can be prepared for the staining. The reagents which you require are the crystal violet, grams iodine, 95% of ethyl alcohol or acetone, on the counter stain that can be safranin or carbon fuchsin. The equipments which are required are the spirit lamp, inoculating loop, staining tray, glass slide and a microscope. So this is the step of the gram staining. So in the step 1 you can see a glass slide with the smear is placed on the staining rack. In the step 2 you pour crystal violet for 1 minute and wash it with water. In step 4 you add iodine and let it stand for 1 minute. In step 5 you wash it again with water. In step 6 you add the decolorizer, which can be either acetone or 95% of alcohol, and you keep it for very less period of time. The indication is that the stain should or the smear should run clear. Okay, then again you wash it with water, and the last is that you add the counter stain, which is dilute carbol fuchsin or safranin, and you keep it for 30 seconds. Then you wash it with water, blot dry or air dry, and examine the smear under 100x of a microscope. The procedure is, as we have already discussed and seen in the picture, but to repeat again, you take a clean grease-free slide, make a smear from the culture plate with the growth by mixing it with a loop of or a drop of normal saline. Allow it to air dry and heat fix the smear by passing it to 2 to 3 times through the flame. Okay. Then first step is to pour the primary dye, that is a crystal violet, on the smear and let it stand for 1 minute. Then gently wash with water. Pour grams iodine, which is a mordant, and allow it to stand for 1 minute. Then again wash it with water. Then decolorize with alcohol or acetone for 10 to 30 seconds. Do not over decolorize and place it drop by drop till the decolorizer runs clear. So you have to be very cautious while adding the decolorizer. Wash it in water. Then you add the counter stain with safranin or dilute carbol fuchsin and you keep it for 30 seconds. Wash with water, air dry and examine the smear under 100x immersion objective of the microscope. Now the points to be remembered for the gram staining is that decolorization is not all or none phenomena. So you cannot overdo the decolorization and you cannot even underdo. Okay, so prolonged exposure of a gram positive organism to the decolorizing agent can make it appear gram negative. So you have to be cautious. And if the cell wall of the gram positive organism is damaged, again there is a possibility that it may appear gram negative. Then under decolorization will also affect the gram negative organism. It will make them appear as gram positive. Washing with water after each reagent, it removes the excess of stains and prepare it for the addition of the next reagent. So it is an important step. Smear should be made from the fresh cultures. Old cultures should not be used because they do not give the proper results because of the aging of the organism, and they make the organisms appear gram variable. So what are the uses of gram stain? Now the gram stains are used for identification of organism. It helps in studying the cell morphology, like it helps in studying the shape, the size, arrangement of the organism and presence of capsule or the spore. Then it describes the gram character, whether the organism is gram positive or it is gram negative. It also helps to identify non-bacterial forms. For example, parasites like Trichomonas. It also helps in identifying Pneumocystis xerovisi cyst, Strongyloides larvae, Toxoplasma gondii trophozoites, and it also stains several fungi. It helps in deciding incubation and other growth requirements for the organism. Thank you. So that's all for gram staining.